It should prove to be an epic men's doubles medal round here at the World Championships at Sunset Station Strike Zone Bowling Center. I'm Lucas Wiseman along with England's Stuart Williams for the start of the semifinals. We've got two Finnish teams taking on each other and two of the U.S. teams battling. So we're guaranteed a U.S.-Finn final. Any thoughts as we get started, Stu?
I think that obviously Pasi and Oscar are probably going to start as favourites in the All-Finland match. And I think the USA match is a little bit harder to tell. I actually think that if Fagan and Janovic take a bit of a chance and they move a little bit in off the gutter, I think they've got a good chance to win. Sabinski's been struggling a little bit with his reaction, so we'll see how it goes. From what I've seen of the lane mapping, lane 55 should prove most difficult for the three guys apart from Chris Barnes, I would think.
Well, the guys in the U.S. match are John Janowitz and Mike Fagan. That's the first U.S. team. They qualified second. The other U.S. team, John Cervinski and Chris Barnes. And in the other semifinal, the number one seed, Pasi Uotila and Asku Palermo, taking on their teammates, Jonas Jankinen and Petteri Salonen. And I'm sure I said some of those names wrong, but you're more familiar with them than I am.
Yeah, you were close enough. It's Jankinen. That was the only one that you really butchered. So it's actually a collection of old bowling balls on Team USA. Chris Barnes is using an EPX. And John Janovic is using a Nitro. So some interesting choices.
Yeah, and the U.S. team seems to be playing pretty far right, almost treating it like it's a short pattern.
Yeah, they look like they've joined Team Korea and we're going to use urethane on every pattern.
And of course, we're bowling on the 39-foot sole pattern for this event. Bowled on the short pattern for singles and shifted over to the medium. And Stu, I assume that the lanes were a little easier today than they were in the singles event on that short pattern. Scores were certainly higher.
Yes, they were. I think that for toes like myself, you were able to move in and hook it a little bit without fear of the ball going sideways. Mike with a pretty good shot there. I think he'd be a little disappointed that one didn't carry.
So for those who are kind of watching this for the first time, let's explain the format. It's a one-game semifinal match. It's doubles, so you will take the doubles total for each team, and the highest doubles total advances to the gold medal match in each one of these semifinals. So we're guaranteed a Finland versus USA gold medal match. It's just a matter of which doubles teams will get there.
Well, I've just been told that I need to behave myself because Mrs. Carolyn Doran-Ballard's listening to us, so got to be on my best behavior.
That's right. I think we've got a lot of folks watching, and we would appreciate your help to spread the word that we've got the live coverage for you here today on Bowl TV. You can get on Facebook and Twitter and let everybody know you're watching on bowl.com. Bowl.com/World 2013, the official website of the World Championships.
That was some interesting carry there for Eunice.
Everything's pretty even so far, but it's very early on. And John Cervinski with a strike there. He pretty much just latched on to Chris Barnes' back and went along for the ride in qualifying to get to this point.
In defense of John, it's very difficult when you're playing and you can't do what the guy in your pair's doing, and you haven't really got any help.
Yeah.
Because Chris didn't really have any clue what he should do to bowl, because Chris is saying, what's your problem? I could shoot 250 every game, why can't you?
Well, a couple of splits on the board right now in each match. So it'll take a few frames for things to kind of settle in and for us to know who's going to have a lead in these matches. But usually at the third or fourth frame, you have a pretty good indication of which way it's going to go, whether it's going to be close or whether it's going to be a blowout.
I think that shot then from Chris was an indication of what we were talking about, the topography. His ball hooked pretty early and then tended to bail quite a lot down the lane. I think that's going to be the battle you're going to see on that lane 55. Whoever can come up with the best solution for that's probably going to win.
I'm Lucas Wiseman of USBC, joined by Stu Williams of Team England for this men's doubles medal round. The women's doubles are tomorrow, qualifying and medal round action for you here on Bowl TV all day tomorrow. Well, there's our first double in either match, possibly.
For those of the people who are interested in these sorts of things, I'll just quickly go through. Eunice Järkänen's going to be using the Green Mamba. Oscar's using the High Road Pearl. Passie's using the High Road. Saloner's using a Mean Street Brawler, I think. John Janovich is using a Nitro. Fagan's using a Prodigy. Sabinski's using a Marvel. And Barnes is using his trusty EPX. So we got that out the way, Lucas. There you go.
Yeah, we always have people who ask what bowling balls are being thrown, and most of the time Jason and I up here have no idea because we're too far away and it's hard to tell. But there's a double for John Janowitz. Scores aren't exactly too high early on here. Not a lot of strikes out there.
I think people are seeing that this end of the centre is quite difficult to start. I haven't had that excuse yet for bowling bad, so God knows what's going to happen when I finally do start up here.
I think that we have seen that just from looking at the scores that pair, they play pretty different here. So you can have a lot of times a team will bowl 500 on one pair and then shoot 370 in the next game.
Yeah.
There's an open frame.
Yeah, I think Oscar and Passie are going to show their experience here and stay probably in control of that game. Well, John is the one who's actually headed inside first on that pair. And he's started with a nice double there, so hopefully for him that bode well.
Well, right now it's the team of Zerbinsky and Barnes with a 14-pin early lead, thanks to the open by Fagan in that one.
Ooh, Fagan's struggling with his approach there. Yeah. That's the second time I've seen him stick.
I heard some of the players say that the approaches were a little tacky here the last couple of days, and I wonder if it's because of the rain and the high humidity they've had here in the Vegas area.
Yeah,
could be. It's unusual.
It's pretty regular in Vegas when it gets for the approaches to be a bit sticky. Humidity can be up and down in such strange times.
It almost looks like Barnes and some of the guys on the U.S. pair just taking the pattern out of play and kind of heading it right towards the pocket for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, when I spoke to Chris earlier, he was definitely having a look at the topography and trying to use that. I think that John is the one who's actually playing the pattern, whereas the other guys are playing the lane, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that's something new this year. They released all of the lane mapping data for the look at the topography across the house. Is that something the players have been looking at?
I think some players have, yeah. I think that just quickly, I think that Passie is going to be the difference in that game. Passie is he's probably one of the most underrated bowlers in the world. A lot of people don't know who he is because he doesn't come and play in the United States, but he is certainly in Europe's top 10 bowlers. He's a fantastic player, and he's won the Ballmaster tournament in Finland 3 times, so he's certainly the man to watch at the moment.
Why is it you think that he hasn't come over here and bowled more in the States?
A financial aspect, possibly.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It's expensive, and also the professional tour at the moment isn't quite the. It's not necessarily the best financial proposition if you have a real job rather than bowling. See, John, I actually think that shot of Sabinski's there, if he'd have thrown that on the right lane, would have had a chance to strike, but not on the left lane.
Well, it's still a 14-pin lead for Zerbinsky and Barnes.
But going back to the topography thing, Lucas, I think that the best thing to look at is for a comparison to what you've already seen, if that makes sense. So, you'll see the topography and say, oh, this lane's quite similar to the last pair or whatever. I don't think it's a very good thing to try and make your moves by just looking at it and moving blind.
Someone asking in the chat, I think it was Ken asking in the chat where you can find the topography for Sunset Station, and that's available on the World Championships website, bowl.com/world 2013, and it's under the information section. That's a good shot by Fagan for a double.
Very nice shot by Mike. Looks like he's solved his approach issues, which is always nice. Definitely don't want to be worrying about your feet when you're trying to compete for a world medal. Let's
see if Passie can get another one. It's It's working on 3 strikes in a row after starting with a spare, and that's pretty good right there.
Another very nice shot by Passy. The other thing as well is Passy doesn't necessarily throw it as hard as some of the other American guys. So when the lanes start to burn up a lot, he tends to struggle to keep up. But on the fresh, this is, as the Americans would say, his wheelhouse.
Well, Barnes with a spare coming here, and Serbinsky and Barnes will lead by 4 if Chris makes the spare. Looks like a 30-plus pin lead for Osku and Passy in the other match.
Yeah, if Osku strikes here and Petri doesn't, it's almost all she wrote early doors. But a Brooklyn for Osku.
Not a very good shot right there.
Where it goes, nobody knows.
As long as it strikes, that's all that matters.
Yep. You don't go back and chalk them off for going the wrong side.
Janowitz with a strike in the 5th.
That was a very nice shot by JJ with his nitro. Ball sales of nitros are going through the roof right now.
On eBay.
Yeah.
Well, I said in the singles events too that once you start putting the players together from these teams and the doubles, the trios, the better teams start to excel, and I would say that Finland and the U.S. are probably right up there as 2 of the better teams in the field.
The only event I don't agree with is the trios, because the trios is kind of a bit of a crapshoot more than anything else, because 3 games then you stop for a whole day.
Yeah.
The trios is the event that almost any team can win just because of the short format. The doubles and the 5-man team tend to be more of the blue ribbon events where you'll see the top teams coming through for sure.
And you bowled well today. You bowled much better than you did in the singles event.
Yeah, it was a strange day in the singles. I think I put my foot on the gas pedal when I should have been just trying to change gear down a little bit. So we live and learn.
Well, still a lot of events left.
Yep.
Long ways to go here at the World Championships.
Passy struck again. I didn't see that one, but Eunice is trying to pull him back. It seems like the Finnish teams are controlling the fresh a lot better than the US teams at the minute, which actually surprises me.
And you never know what the strategy will be for the U.S. team when they get over and have to bowl the Finns in the gold medal match, whether they'll try to stay in and hook it with them or if they'll stay right and play them straight again.
Pretty sure they'll stay right because they don't want to try and make it better in the middle for Oscar. Fagan could do with a spare here.
Yep.
There we go.
You could tell right off his hand it had a chance to make it.
Yeah.
And you know, as a professional bowlers tend to make those splits a lot more than regular folks.
Yeah. Norm Duke makes it like it's me shooting the 3-pin.
Well, it certainly looks like Passy and Oscar are in control in that Finnish semifinal.
Yeah, Passy's putting on a little bit of a clinic right now.
It's like a 35-pin lead, assuming that Salonen makes this.
Oh, with his spare ball as well.
They did make it.
That was a very nice spare.
They're still down 35, though, with the 4 frames to go.
So Zabinski could do with a double here to extend the lead again.
Yep.
Good shot.
Now they are up by 15, Serbinsky and Barnes.
JJ can cut that right back down again, though.
I wonder if it takes off a little bit of the pressure on these teams bowling their teammates and knowing that no matter what, they're going to be bowling. Somebody's going to be bowling for the gold from your country.
Yeah, I think it does a little bit, but I don't think it does for Fagan and Janowitz, because anybody who's known Chris Barnes knows that if you lose to him, he's never going to let you forget about it. So, Lucas, I've got a trivia question for you.
Yeah.
Out of all of these players playing now and the coaches, who's been to the most championships?
Wow, that's a good question.
Because I think I'm asking it as a trick question because I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Janovitz.
Yeah, that's true.
He's the one who's been causing the tears usually by pressing the lane machine buttons.
Yeah, that's right. That is true.
Wow.
Oh, Posse with another one.
I think Passy was kind of suggesting that it doesn't really matter where he throws it right now. He's pretty lined up with that Storm High Road.
It looked like it might have been a sprinkler he's got going there.
Hit. Oh, Fagan. It's kind of interesting to see this match that the two guys with the least experience in these situations are actually the two guys who are carrying their teams here, yep. Janovitz and Sabinski.
Well, it's still a 5-pin lead for Zabrinski and Barnes if Fagan makes the single pin. And here is Osku. It's a better shot.
Yep, high road pull. He's trusting it, and it's definitely... I don't think Osku ever has a problem with the ball not coming back.
No, never. I've never once seen him have a hard time hooking the ball. And it looks like they're in pretty good control of that one.
Yeah, I think that game's pretty much over. It was like we were talking about a blowout. I think that one's probably going to be the blowout we were talking about.
Osku and Passy both with nothing but strikes on the board the last 4 frames.
Great shot by JJ. He's putting the pressure right back on Sabinski here.
Another strike, 10 goes late.
Passy and Osku would definitely win the competition of most board bowlers.
Yeah. Great shot by Zabrinski. It's a very interesting match. It's pretty close. Only 5 pins separate them. Looks like Eunice is going to go next. He's also got 4 in a row. Good shot by the lefty.
That's a very good shot. This is the day when you feel for them. They're just playing the wrong team.
Yeah.
That needs to hook. Oh no.
Hooked, but it didn't look so good going through the pins.
It's that deal, if any of you are at home, if you want to have a look at the topography map for lane 55, you'll actually see that there's quite a lot of hook, or the lane's tilted to the right early on, and it's actually tilted the opposite way, vice versa anyway. So the ball's going to burn up a lot in the front, so the players are trying to trick that through the front, and then trying to get it to hook down the lanes are much more challenging. The right lane's a much easier proposition for both sets of players.
Barnes with a strike, and that increases their lead to 6 pins. The Finns are lighting them up over there. It's a pretty high-scoring match.
Yep. I think it's pretty lucky for USA it's not a 4-man team match.
Yeah, that's true. They'd be in big trouble. Although the U.S. guys aren't bowling awful, but not at the same pace as Finland.
Yeah, I think Passy and Oscar are applying for this to count towards their all-event scores.
Yeah. I think Chris Barnes is probably the leader in the all-events after today.
Oh, by a bunch as well. Oh, JJ with a good break there, crumbling that bucket.
JJ's having a little fun out there.
Yeah, carry.
I think JJ and Zabinski probably want this pretty bad.
Yep.
As does Fagan.
Yeah, I just think that it's always not for those two. They were definitely in the conversation with Marshall Kent over who was going to be the last 2 guys. So for them, it'd be obviously nice for either of them to prove that they were the right pick. And
John Janowitz, the only non-professional bowler on the U.S. team, and proving that he certainly belongs.
Yep, fantastic bowler over many years. As to say, he's another one of these guys who's actually got what I term a real job.
Yep.
Although I use it a little bit more loosely with JJ than most people. Anybody who gets to travel the world dressed in Louis Vuitton, you've got to be... Oh, that wasn't a very good shot by Eunice.
Yeah, that one's over. Oscar and Passy are going to advance, looks like.
Yep, pretty much done and dusted. So.
And it looks like Janowitz and Fagan have taken the lead by just a couple of pins now.
Yeah, but if Chris can shut that down pretty quick if he can double up. So I think it's pretty important for Team Fagan-Janowitz for Fagan to get a strike here. So he has a good feeling going into the 10th. The last thing you want as the anchor man is to not feel comfortable with what you're going to do in the 10th frame.
Yeah, and this is the lane that Fagan will have to finish on.
That looks pretty good.
Ouch.
Well, it was pretty good. It just wasn't very good. So
ball just hooked right past the 9-pin.
Yeah, I think that's
came around to get it.
I think it's a little bit of a product of the left lane where he's trying to make that lane finish. He's added a little bit extra to lane 56, but still 2 frames left. There's a lot of action still to be played in that game. Be interesting to see what change Chris makes here. He's the master of making little changes and staying in the same spot.
So this is a big shot to take the lead back for Barnes and Serbinski. And he does.
Wow, that was a great shot.
You think Chris Barnes doesn't want a gold medal, you can tell he certainly does. Somebody said in the chat earlier today that it looked like Chris Barnes didn't want to be here. Well, I beg to differ. Yeah, he's here to win. He takes this very seriously.
If you want to see him look like he doesn't want to be here, come to South Point.
I'm not going anywhere near that with an 8-foot pole.
So.
Well, Janowitz, this is a big shot here. 9th frame, working on a string of strikes. They're trailing by a couple of pins, so needs to keep it going.
Oh, hook. Oh, it did. Great shot, JJ.
Well, Oscar with an open. Does that make things any more interesting? No. Doesn't look like it.
No, because Petri didn't strike.
Yeah, had he struck, it would have been a little bit different, but not much.
But not really.
Because Passy's got a big game going. Serbinski.
Well, that's inside.
Well, went high flush.
Dead flush.
Yep. So for the moment, with a frame and a half to go, Janowitz and Fagan have a very slight lead. But if Barnes strikes again, then they will take the lead back. So this is going to come down to the 10th frame.
Mm-hmm.
It's been back and forth for a while now.
Yes, definitely so. It's kind of as we predicted in the before we started the broadcast. The Finnish game looked like it had the potential to be a blowout, and this was definitely a flip of the coin match.
Big shot for Barnes here to take the lead back.
Oh, that was a good break getting that 10 out.
Little late love on the 10 pin.
Wow.
That 6 pin gave it a little tickle.
So Fagan really, really needs a strike here.
Ninth frame.
Go.
Looks good.
Good shot, Mike.
So let's see what the math is here.
7 pins, I guess, to Barnes' team.
Pretty close to that.
6.
6.
I think we can just focus on this game now. I think the Finnish guys are just trying to get their shots so that they don't interrupt the USA match that's pretty close.
Yeah, it's going to be Passy and Osku advancing.
For sure.
To the gold medal match.
So here's JJ.
Who they will take on is yet to be determined. JJ desperately needing a strike here.
Oh, God, that needs to hook. Oh, yes. JJ keeps it close. Retakes the lead by 4 pins.
Big shot
Good
by
shot
Stravinsky.
by Stravinsky.
Yeah, that takes the lead back to 6, I believe.
I think John is actually one of the most one of the young guns who's probably the next breakthrough player in the professional world at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree with that. John is definitely taking it to the next level. Big shot for Janowitz here. There's another one.
Great shot, JJ.
Puts him in the 260s.
I honestly can't speak enough about how great a game both Zabinski and Janowitz have bowled here.
So this is another critical shot here for Zabinski. It's kind of got to match it.
It's back and forth, back and forth.
Going to come down to the anchorman, it looks like. What a shot.
Great shot by Zabinski again.
It's the leadoff guys that are carrying the load right now.
I guess Chris would argue that it was about time that Zabinski pulled some of the weight.
So fill ball's coming up here.
You just want to try and avoid the 6 or the 7 really on the fill shot. Get out of the way.
Oh, there's a 9.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
It's not really going to affect the outcome. So in this situation, you're just playing for 8s and 9s to just get out the way, and you've done your job. You've got the double. Leave it to the superstar in your team to finish it off.
So a 268 for John. For John Janowitz, and John Stravinsky shoots 248.
So here's the deal. Chris Barnes needs 2 strikes and 4 pins to shut Fagan out.
There we go.
That's the simple part of it. It only gets interesting if, well, Fagan strikes and Chris doesn't, and then Fagan doesn't, and we can start worrying about count then.
Well, let's see what happens. If Fagan doesn't strike here, then it's pretty much trouble for his team.
Yeah, unless Chris has the dreaded split. So
we'll have to see here.
Let's go for strikes and see where it leaves us. Oh, he 9-pinned again.
Another 9-pin on that lane.
Horrible break.
Wow.
That's back-to-back 9-pins on that lane that's going to cost them the medal.
So I think Barnes now will just need a mark with count.
Yep. And last time on this lane, Chris just threw the high hard one. He just amped up to get it through the front part of the lane and he just went straight after it. So I can't see it being any different here. Look for the flat 10, I would think.
He gassed that one. Oh, and the messenger comes across.
I was almost right.
Barnes and Zerbinski advance. Well, he just gassed that one, didn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't. He actually got that one a little bit further right because he didn't want to get into the trappers. Basically, the only time he was going to be in trouble on that frame was if he missed left, so he just made sure he got it to the right and he was all good.
Take a look at the replay of that shot by Barnes. This is the clinching shot.
And yes, folks, we're playing on 39 feet.
And he just piped it right in there.
Yep, flat 10, 6 in the gutter. Messenger gets through the 6. That was the shot he was trying to avoid right there.
Exactly, yep.
That and the high one. Either of those two were bad news.
But he got enough. Final score in the other match, 480 to 453. Pasi Uotila and Oscar Palermo will both with the gold medal coming up next.
Let's have a little look at the little topography map to see what that's saying to us.
190 for Mike Fagan. So they shoot 458. And Barnes and Zerbinski shoot 472. So the bronze medals will be shared by the losers in that semifinal round. and the winners advance to bowl for the gold medal.
I think it's time to give a nice shout out to Jonas Jekinen and Salonen and Mike and Janovic, just so people can understand how unbelievably difficult it is to get through to that round. And
it's such a harsh cut when you only take 4 teams out of that many.
Yeah, and
it's hard to make.
And
you guys were close, but
yeah, but as it turned out, that second squad just ran us over. The scores were so high, and it's nice to see. It doesn't happen very often, but it's nice to see. Right now, you're going to see the teams that won the first squad and the team that won the second squad, and who finished 1 and 2 or 1 and 3, but they won each squad, played each other. So you could argue that they both played the best.
Well, they're going to start practice here in just a moment, and we will step away for a couple of minutes while they get geared up to ready to go. But we'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes. Please spread the word on Facebook and Twitter. Live coverage of the World Championships men's doubles gold medal match coming up next. Sounds a little weird on this, isn't it? All right, we're ready to get started with the gold medal match in the men's doubles here at the World Championships, Sunset Station's Strike Zone Bowling Center. I'm Lucas Wiseman along with England's Stuart Williams for the gold medal match. We've got Finland's Pasi Vuotila and Osku Palermo against John Serbinski and Chris Barnes from the United States.
Pasi's been having a little bit of trouble with the ring 10 reaction on this lane 53, so we'll see what changes he makes for this first shot.
And again, it's the same format as before. They're going to bowl one game, and the high total wins the gold medal.
For all the tea in China.
That's right. So Zerbinski starts with a 10-pin. Here's Osku in the first frame.
Osku's changed to the natural.
Yeah, I say it looks like he's moved a bit right and is throwing it a little straighter than he was in the semifinal.
Yeah, I think he's decided that the pins are flying around enough that he doesn't need to really create that much angle, and he wants to take away the chance of it, the ball going sideways down lane. So he's got the natural out, and he's putting his money on that one.
So the fact that Osku has moved that far right with the natural, what is that? How does that impact Team USA in this match?
It depends. I mean, where Chris is playing, I don't think it's going to impact him at all, because Chris is playing so far to the right that it might give him a little bit more hold. I think the one it may actually impact Pasi and Serbinski a little bit more, as they're trying to hook it, and down lane's going to be a little bit tighter. But for Chris, I don't think it's going to impact him at all.
Well, here's Serbinski, the only one who didn't strike in the first frame. Looked like a pretty good shot up his hand.
Yep, very nice shot. It looked like he was a little bit further right on that lane. Maybe he sees a little bit more hook on that left lane. It's very tense right now in the bowling centre. You can feel the crowd's got a lot of anticipation.
Good crowd tonight for the men's doubles finals here at Sunset Station. Second frame for Pasi. Chance to give the Finns a very early lead with a double. Oh, Messenger goes in front of the 10. That was pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think he got that one a little bit further right than he expected. So I think he was hoping more than expecting that one was going to come back, and then when it did, now he's a little bit upset the Messenger went in front.
Well, here's a chance for Barnes to give the Americans a very early lead. There's a little left off his hand, it looked like.
Yeah, that lane's definitely hooking a little bit more.
Leaves the 4-pin on that shot.
Interestingly, Lucas, I actually think that this is the one of the most, probably for me, this is the most prestigious event, because I think it allows all countries to have a chance, whereas the 5-man team is a lot harder for a lot of the other countries to have 5 really high-level bowlers, whereas I think probably 60 or 70% of the countries here have at least 2 high-level bowlers on their team. So this is the event that allows most teams to have a chance to win.
Spare for Barnes, so no doubles on the board yet. Osku has a chance to change that as we round out the second frame. And you can see just how far right Osku is starting with his feet, although he does drift a little bit left.
Shot. Oh.
Leaves a 10-pin as well. Interesting strategy. I'm surprised that Osku has moved so far to the right with that ball. Especially coming off. Well, he did only bowl 215 last game.
And he got quite a few good breaks.
Yeah.
I'm actually really not surprised at all. I think he spoke with Pasi and said, I need us to get some more oil down the lane. And Pasi said, well, I don't think there's time to do that. So, Oscar didn't actually bowl that well the first few games in the main block. So I think he decided he had to try something different, and you know, he uses urethane a lot, so it's not an unusual thing for Oscar to do.
Well, we're all even after 2 frames, and things flipped. Zerbinski was the only one who didn't strike in the first, and then he was the only one who struck in the second. So he's the only one with an opportunity for a double this frame. Third frame for Passy. Ring 10.
He had a lot, that's what I was saying, he had a lot of trouble with those in the practice session.
So it looks like carry might be the early story early on in this championship match.
Yeah, it actually looks like both teams haven't got too many issues getting to the pocket, which is nice because, you know, you want to see a final where both teams have, you know, a good chance to get to the pocket.
There's a double, our first double of the gold medal match. It's by Zerbinski, who you probably would be the least expecting of that. You think that he was the least experienced of the 4 by far in this championship match.
He did just come off a 248 game, so
he carried the team in that semifinal. Returned the favor to Chris, who carried him into this point to begin with.
I was about to say Chris. I won't say Chris might. Chris will be saying about time, Rook.
Well, let's see what happens here in the third for Barnes.
That's good.
Yep. Oh, that looked a little better, and he gets a lucky break on the 4-pin.
Chris doing the act.
Yep.
I'm sure Oscar's impressed by that.
Oscar's, I'm sure, seen that many times before.
Yeah.
These guys have bowled against each other a lot.
I think we need a replay of that one.
I don't think we have it, but
no,
he had a pin doing a cartwheel across the deck. That was pretty crazy.
Definitely entertainment value right there. I think that was Oscar returning the favor to Chris and his fortunate trip 4.
Well, after 3 frames, Team USA leads by 11, thanks to the double by Zerbinski. He's the only one with a double on the board after 3 frames. Passy has struggled with his carry the last couple of frames. Let's see what happens here in the 4th. I think he liked it off his hand.
Yeah.
He kind of stared it down as it went down the lane like he was willing it to carry, and it did.
Passy's not Mr. Happy, that's for sure, when he bowls.
Well, Zerbinski will be pretty happy if he can get another strike here because it would push the U.S. lead to 21. Good shot.
Great shot by Zerbinski there. Really, really nice shot. He definitely looks relaxed at this moment in time. Oscar takes a re-rack. I think that was more of a courtesy re-rack after the 10-pin had the audacity to stand last time. He wasn't so impressed.
Oscar with a chance for the first double for the Finns, and he doesn't like it.
Hello, home room. It's funny. It's funny because I actually thought that one was going to strike, and he gave it the stamp.
It looked like he pulled it a little bit.
Yeah. But that lane's been pushing a little bit more. So.
Barnes looking for a double, 4th frame. That was pretty clean off his hand.
Ooh.
Gets the 10 out barely. And so after 4 frames, Team USA leads by 21 pins.
It's actually quite interesting. Zerbinski's the only one who's got his ball going through the pins in a way that you think it's going to continue to strike. The other guys, you know, Oscar had the messenger, Passy's had the ring 10 sort of reaction, but Zerbinski's strikes have all been 10 back, so it's interesting that he's found a trick to get his ball to stop in the right place.
Well, big shot here for Zerbinski to keep the string alive. Pretty close. Yep. Another good shot by John Zerbinski. 4 in a row, and that pushes the lead now to 31. Passy a chance to step up and knock it back down to 21, though, if he strikes.
Looks like we're going to have a strike fest for the final, though, so that's always entertaining.
Yeah, seems as though they're starting to get it together here after a little bit of a slow start.
Push.
Double. Cuts the deficit back down to 21. You get the feeling that both these teams are going to need to keep striking at this point, the way this match is going. Don't want to be the first one to blink now with a string of strikes going. Barnes gets the 9 to go a little bit late on that shot. As the strikes continue to come. Let's see if Osku can keep it going. Boy, that ball hooked pretty early.
Yeah, that led's definitely hooking that little bit more. Oscar will be a bit disappointed, but if he can make the spare and then Passy can strike, this game's still got a lot of time to go yet.
I think with the spare here, the Americans are up 32.
Yeah,
I think that's about pretty close to what it is.
When
the
you
halfway
strike,
point.
when you're striking this much, I mean, 32 is pretty easy to turn.
Hello.
Oh wow!
He just missed it. Sailed it right past the 4-pin, and you can't afford to do that in these short matches.
That was kind of weird because that really looked like that was going to spare it for all the world, and it didn't hook.
So that pushes the lead for Team USA into the 40s. With half a game to go.
You'd have to put that down as a mental error, I think. But having said that, the way he threw it, I think he was pretty happy with the shot. So
puts a lot of pressure on Passy here to
get the turkey. Looks pretty good. He looks really fazed by that.
He definitely doesn't show a whole lot of emotion, does he?
Well,
maybe negative emotion.
I was about to say, wait to see him throw a stone 8 in the 10th to lose. He'll throw some emotion then.
Well, the way things are going, it may not matter in the 10th. Team USA keeps striking like this. There's another one for Chervinsky.
I actually think the PBA League has been a really big deal for John. It got him some exposure on TV, and he played extremely well when the Kingpins won. And it's definitely, giving him some situational practice for these big moments, and he looks loose as a goose right now.
Oscar is back on track in the 6th with a strike.
Chris is taking a re-rack. I think some of that's a little bit, I think he felt like the crowd was starting to get a little bit louder and he wanted to slow him down a little bit.
Kind of like taking a timeout in a basketball game.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I re-rack a lot more in match play than I ever do in regular bowling. So I think a lot of people are like that. You just want to slow the match down a little bit.
Barnes trying to keep the string alive. Oh, look at the messenger come across and take out the 10. I think he wasn't sure about that shot when he let it go.
I didn't think that was going to hit the head pin. So,
wow.
I think if he'd have not 210 then, I think he'd have been ecstatic. So the fact that he got the 4-bagger, I think is, yeah.
And it looks like it's a 54-pin lead for Team USA now.
That was a huge break.
4 frames to go. Tremendous pressure here.
I was about to say, for the rest of the world, we're starting to kind of get a little bit bored of listening to the US anthem and watching you guys win. So,
well, the Finns have a chance to do something about it if they can mount a comeback here.
Oh.
It's a 7-pin.
I mean, that's the situation where it gets absolute. There you go. There's some emotion.
There's the sarcastic emotion right there, huh?
I would have to say that he threw a lot better shot than Chris did, and the result doesn't kind of bear fruit.
Chervinsky. This could be a frame where the Americans can almost put it away here. The way things are going.
John, I can't say enough about how well John's played tonight. He's thrown pretty much every shot great.
I think some people this morning were saying, why did Rod Ross put Chris Barnes with John Chervinsky in the doubles after John struggled a bit and Chris bowled so well? Well, I think that I'm guessing Rod thought that Chris could kind of pull John through to the final here and seems as though that's what's happening.
Maybe he knew that Chris was going to bowl 1,500, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, it's true. Could put him with anybody.
I'll be honest, I don't think it's rocket science coming up with who gets to play with who in the U.S. teams.
Yeah, I would imagine that he put Barnes and Serbinsky together because they can kind of play off each other, and an experience factor I think helps Serbinsky as well, having somebody there who's been here before.
Yeah.
But this is just about over at this point. I mean, it's not quite, but it's getting pretty close. If the Americans throw a couple more strikes here,
yeah,
it gets real hard for the Finns.
We're getting into the territory where we need one of them to that is we, the rest of the European zone, needs one of the Americans to trip over or something. It's quite a big gap now.
Well, it's not quite determined yet, but
it's the fat ladies warming up.
It's the 8th frame. Team USA is up by about 70. Posse with a strike in the 8th. Serbinsky and Barnes looking to pull even further away here in the 8th frame, both on big strings of strikes. It's good. Could tell off his hand. Yeah. He's throwing it great. He's just curing it off his hand every time, and it's looking good.
I tell you what, for the secrets of picking their teams, I'll do a prediction that it'll be Chris, Tommy, and Bill O'Neill in the trios.
Okay, we'll see if that comes true. You may already know. I
have no idea.
I don't either.
I would guess it's a closely guarded secret.
Yeah, I'm sure they haven't decided yet. Here's Barnes. Well, what do you think, Stu?
I think it's done.
Sure looks like it, doesn't it? I mean, Serbinsky can strike out for 290, and Barnes can strike out for 280. That's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah,
that's tough.
As I say, John has definitely stepped up to the plate tonight. I think he's been able to go away, have a little think about how he bowled this morning, and he's made some changes of balls and stuff, and he's definitely found the right solution now. That is for sure.
A couple of frames to go here. Posse with a strike for a double.
I mean, you can't really fault the finish effort here. I mean, Posse had that horrible break in the 7th frame. He'd be shooting 269.
Yep.
You know, Oscar's tried something different, and he could still shoot 225, 230, and they're not even close.
Another strike for John Serbinsky.
I mean, John looks like he's bowling league right now. They're getting to the point where they're not even sure they want a high five. You asked me what Oscar's urethane was going to do, and I said I thought it was going to help Serbinsky's reaction.
Yeah, sure. Seems like Serbinsky's got the world.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't affected Chris, that's for sure, and I wasn't sure whether it was going to make it better or worse, but it's definitely not made it worse for John.
It's incredible performance here by Team USA.
Yep.
In the championship match. I mean, they're probably going to bowl, if they strike out, they'll bowl the highest game of the tournament, I would assume. I don't
the highest game of this tournament.
This tournament, yeah.
But not
today.
of the World Championships ever.
I'm sure not.
No, that's 599.
Yeah, there you go. But I'm talking about today. Yeah, for sure. I
by
think.
about 30 pins, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, the highest ever is Andres Gomez and Jaime. 599 in Abu Dhabi, I believe.
Yep. Obviously, 300, 299. Pretty. Yeah. There's no other way you can get there.
Andres was the anchorman, and he bowled 300.
Another strike for John Serbinsky. So Team USA going to win the gold medal here in the men's doubles, and I would say, not very dramatic fashion. It's kind of anticlimactic, actually.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't really much you can do about that. 10 minutes practice, they made their choices, they made some good choices, and then they've made some great shots in this match. And it's
another strike for Posse. It's going to put him in the 240, so he bowled a good game. But the Americans just too much.
I think we might look back on this, and I think the turning point of this match It may well have been when Oscar missed that spare. It made that gap really big, and the two American guys have been pretty loose since that point onwards.
A very high-scoring gold medal match.
I'm pretty sure if you'd have said to Oscar and Pasi that they'd have shot 70 over, they'd have taken it. And they're going to lose by over 100.
Yeah, they're going to lose by a lot. Cervinski's final shot here. He can strike for 290.
And he does.
Yep. 290, 11 in a row after starting with a spare. John Cervinski and Chris Barnes take the men's doubles gold medal. A great effort. It's going to be the first World Championships gold medal for John Cervinski.
Yep. A very, very impressive performance in the medal matches. 5:38 in the medal matches.
Barnes is trying to finish this thing off in style here.
I think they've already done that.
We watched a lot of bowling today, and this is the Cervinski-Barnes game here is easily the most impressive game I saw all day, without a doubt.
You didn't see me shoot 260 then?
I did not.
It took me 2 games to shoot 260 the other day. Come on. No, they've been. To be honest, Chris has had a couple of lucky breaks, whereas John is. Almost every shot John's thrown has been perfect. It's been an amazing game.
473 for the Finns, and it's not even close to enough. Chris Barnes, he's even running it out. He wants to strike out too. He wants to get to the 280 number, and he's one strike away from 570 for the pair. That's insane.
Mind-blowing.
That's insane.
Absolutely mind-blowing.
And here comes the clap. A 4-pin on the fill. 290 and 279, a 569 for Team USA as they win 569 to 473. Stu, any final thoughts as we wrap things up?
Yeah, let's get some hitmen and take some of these US guys out. So this seems to be the only way that any of the rest of us are going to get a chance at a gold medal.
Team USA with a strong team this year, and we'll have the medal ceremony coming up in just a couple of minutes here live on Bowl TV. Stand by.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Stu.
See you later.
Also presenting the medals from the silver category, Mr. Pekka Korpi. And your silver medalist representing Finland, Mr. Pasi Utala and Osku Palermo. Presenting medals, the Managing Director of the United States Polo Congress National Governing Body, Mr. Neil Strimmel. Your winners of the gold medal representing the USA, John Zerbinsky and Chris Barnes. Spectators, at this time, please rise for the national anthem of the United States of America.